The alert sounded 3 times before Lieutenant Commander Jack Rogers noticed it. He had been awake for nearly 20 hours straight, reviewing defense patterns for the Arcturus outpost. The coffee beside him had gone cold hours ago. "Commander Rogers," called out the station's AI in its flat voice. "Urgent transmission from Sector 7. Jack rubbed his tired eyes and sat up straight. "Put it through." The screen flickered to life. The face of Captain Peter Daniels appeared, his expression tight with stress. Behind him, emergency lights flashed. "Rogers, are you alone?" Peter asked, his voice low. "Yes. What's happening out there?" "Something impossible." Peter looked over his shoulder before continuing. "We were monitoring Xanthari movements near the Epsilon border when we picked up unusual energy readings. 3 Empire warships were patrolling the area, top-of-the-line destroyers." Jack leaned forward. The Xanthari Empire had ruled this sector of space for 70 years. Their technology was decades ahead of Earth's. A single Xanthari destroyer could take out 5 human vessels before taking damage. "Go on," Jack said. The Empire ships suddenly changed course, moving towards something our sensors couldn't properly read. Then, Peter paused, shaking his head. Then all 3 destroyers were attacked and destroyed within 2 minutes. Jack felt his mouth go dry. "That's not possible. What kind of Earth fleet was out there?" "That's just it," Peter said, his voice dropping even lower. "It wasn't one of ours. It wasn't anything we've ever seen before. 1 ship, Rogers. 1 ship took out 3 Xanthari destroyers." "1." Jack couldn't hide his disbelief. "Are you sure it wasn't a sensor malfunction?" "We have partial visual confirmation. The object moves like a phantom. Here 1 second, gone the next." The Xanthari didn't even get off a proper distress call. Their last transmission only had 5 words. "It's not one of ours." The implications hit Jack like a physical blow. If it wasn't an Earth ship and it wasn't Xanthari, then who? No other known species in this sector had technology capable of challenging the Empire. "I'm sending you the data now," Peter said. "It's been scrambled for security. The Empire forces in this sector are in full retreat. They're pulling back to their core systems." Jack's personal tablet beeped as it received the encrypted files. "Have you reported this to command?" "You're the first call I made," Peter replied. "I trust you, Jack. Something big is happening, and I don't think any of us are ready for it." The transmission ended abruptly. Jack sat in silence for a long moment before opening the files on his tablet. The data was fragmentary, sensor readings, energy signatures unlike anything in the Alliance database, and a blurry image that showed nothing more than a dark shape against the stars. His secure line chimed. It was Fleet Admiral Susan Miller, the highest-ranking officer in the Earth Alliance Defense Fleet. "Rogers," she said without greeting, "I assume you've been briefed on the Epsilon incident." "Just now, Admiral." "Good. I'm assembling a special reconnaissance team. You're in command." Her expression was unreadable. "Whatever this phantom ship is, I want to know. Is it a potential ally against the Xanthari? A new threat? Something else entirely?" Jack nodded. "When do I leave?" "Immediately. You'll have your pick of personnel. The scout vessel Strider has been prepared for your mission." "Parameters, Mom." Susan's eyes hardened. "Find this phantom. Make contact if possible. But Jack," she leaned closer to the screen, "be careful. For 70 years, nothing has made the Xanthari retreat. Nothing. Whatever this is, it's a game changer." The call ended. Jack stood up and moved to the window of his office. Outside, the stars looked the same as they always had, but somewhere out there, something was moving among them that had the power to change everything. For the first time in decades, Jack felt something he hadn't expected. Hope. Jack spent the next 6 hours reviewing personnel files. He needed the best team possible for this mission. By morning, he had made his choices. The Strider waited in Docking Bay 3. It was smaller than most Alliance vessels, built for speed and stealth rather than combat. Jack stood at the entrance ramp, watching as his chosen crew arrived one by one. First came Chief Engineer Olivia Grant. She carried a large bag of tools over her shoulder and wore the standard blue uniform with grease stains on the sleeves. Her official record showed both reprimands for unauthorized modifications and medals for those same modifications, saving lives in battle. "Commander," she said with a nod. "Heard we're chasing ghosts." "Something like that," Jack replied. "I need someone who can think outside the rules." Olivia smiled. "Then you picked the right engineer." Next arrived Communications Specialist William Kim. He was younger than the others, quiet, with alert eyes that seemed to notice everything. His talent for breaking Zenthuri codes had saved 3 colonies from surprise attacks last year. "Reporting as ordered, sir," William said. "I brought extra decryption equipment. If this phantom ship is sending any signals, I'll find them." Security Officer Diane Powell walked up next. She moved with the careful grace of someone who had seen too much combat. Her record in Special Forces operations was mostly classified, but Jack had worked with her before. She carried a standard-issue blaster and what looked like several non-standard weapons hidden under her jacket. "This is either going to be really boring or really exciting," Diane said by way of greeting. "Either way, I've got us covered." The last to arrive was Navigator Paul Johnson. Tall and thin, with a perpetual look of concentration, Paul knew the border regions better than the official maps did. He had grown up on the edge colonies, learning to navigate by the stars before joining the Alliance. "The Epsilon sector is tricky," Paul said immediately. "Lots of dust clouds and asteroid fields. Perfect place to hide a ship if you know what you're doing." Jack nodded to each of them. "Inside. We launch in 30 minutes. Once aboard, Jack briefed the team. He showed them the blurry image of the phantom ship and the data from the destroyed Zenthuri vessels. "So one ship took out 3 Empire destroyers," Olivia whistled. "That's impossible with our tech." "Exactly," Jack said. "Which means either someone else has developed something new, or we're dealing with a species we haven't met before." William studied the energy readings. "These patterns don't match anything in our database. Our mission is to find this ship, observe it, and if possible, make contact," Jack explained. "Admiral Miller believes it could be a potential ally against the Zenthuri. Or a new enemy," Diane added quietly. "That's also possible," Jack admitted, "which is why we're going in carefully." The Strider's engines hummed to life. Paul took his position at navigation. "Course set for the Epsilon sector, Commander." "Engage," Jack ordered. As they left the station behind, a message came through on a secure channel. It was from Admiral Miller. "New information, Commander. The Zenthuri have dispatched a battle group to the area. 15 warships, including 2 dreadnoughts. They believe the Phantom ship is an Earth Alliance superweapon." Jack exchanged glances with his crew. "They think it's one of ours." "Yes, and they're determined to destroy it. Find this ship before they do." The transmission ended. Jack looked at his team. "Change of plans. We're now racing against the Zenthuri. Paul, find us the fastest route." "Already on it," Paul replied, his fingers flying across the navigation console. Olivia moved to the engine room. "I can give us more speed, but it won't be by the book." "Forget the book," Jack said. "Just get us there." The Strider accelerated, pushing past its designed limits. As stars streaked by outside the viewports, Jack wondered what they would find in the Epsilon sector, and whether they would reach it before the Zenthuri battle group. The hunt for the Phantom had begun. The Strider dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a slight shudder. Through the main viewport, the crew could see the remains of the Zenthuri destroyers. The once mighty warships were now just twisted metal floating in the emptiness of space. "Scan the wreckage," Jack ordered. William's fingers moved quickly over his console. "I'm picking up standard radiation from their power cores, but there's something else too. An energy signature I've never seen before." "Put it on the main screen," Jack said. The display showed the broken ships. Even Jack, who had seen many battles, was surprised by the damage. The Xanthari destroyers hadn't been simply destroyed, they had been cut apart with incredible precision. "Those aren't weapons impacts," Diane said, leaning forward to study the image. "Look at those edges. Clean, straight cuts through hull metal that's designed to withstand nuclear blasts." Olivia joined them, her eyes wide. No Earth weapon could do that. Not even experimental ones. Hall guided the Strider closer to the largest piece of wreckage. "Commander, I'm picking up Xanthari emergency beacons. 3 of them, but they're very weak." "Any life signs?" Jack asked. William shook his head. "None. The beacons are automated." "I'm also getting increased communication traffic," William added. "Xanthari channels are buzzing." "Decrypting now." He paused, listening through his earpiece. "Sir, they're reporting 6 more Imperial vessels destroyed in nearby systems." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "Same attack pattern." "From what I can tell, yes." "Olivia, take a small team and collect samples from the wreckage. I want to know what kind of weapon did this." While Olivia and 2 crew members put on spacesuits and left the ship, Jack reviewed the new data with William and Diane. "The Phantom is moving in a pattern," Diane said, pointing to a star chart. "All attacks have been on Xanthari military vessels, no civilian targets." "And look at the timing," William added. "Each attack happened when the Xanthari ships were closest to an Earth colony or outpost." Jack frowned. "You think it's protecting us?" Before anyone could answer, Olivia's voice came over the comm system. "Commander, you need to see this. We found something embedded in the hull." When Olivia returned, she brought with her a small glowing crystal unlike anything they had seen before. "It was melted into the metal," she explained, "and it's giving off an energy signature that matches the unknown readings we detected." Jack was about to respond when Paul shouted from the navigation station. "Contact. Something just appeared at the edge of our sensor range. It's moving fast, faster than anything I've ever tracked." Everyone rushed to their stations. On the main screen, a blur of movement appeared for just a second before vanishing again. "Did we get any readings?" Jack asked. William checked his instruments. "Partial. It's definitely not Xanthari design. Not Earth either. The energy signature matches what we found in the wreckage." "It's watching us," Diane said quietly. Jack nodded. "Send a message on all frequencies. Let it know we're not hostile." William began broadcasting, but there was no response. "Sir," Paul called out, his voice urgent. "Xanthari battle group just entered the system. 15 ships, heavily armed. They'll be in weapons range in 10 minutes. Jack made a quick decision. "We can't be caught between them and the Phantom. Set course for the Keller Nebula. We can hide there and observe what happens." As the Strider moved away, their sensors briefly detected the mysterious object again. This time, it seemed to be on an intercept course with the approaching Xanthari ships. "Whatever it is," Jack said, watching the screen, "we're about to see what it can really do." The crew fell silent as they prepared to witness a confrontation between the mighty Xanthari battle group and the Phantom ship that moved like nothing they had ever seen before. The Strider hid in the thick dust of the Keller Nebula. The red and purple clouds outside the viewports would block most scans from the Xanthari ships. Jack and his crew watched their sensors closely as the battle group approached the wreckage they had just left. "They're spreading out in a search pattern," Paul noted. "Standard Xanthari hunting formation." On the main screen, they could see the 15 Empire ships moving with military precision. 2 massive dreadnoughts sat at the center, surrounded by smaller but still deadly cruisers and destroyers. "No sign of the Phantom," William said, checking his instruments. "It's as if it vanished again." Then something unexpected happened. One of the Xanthari ships broke formation and accelerated away from the others. "That's strange," Diane said. "Xanthari never break formation during a hunt." Jack leaned forward. "Track that ship. What's it doing?" Paul adjusted their sensors. "It's a small vessel, probably a science ship based on its profile. And its heading. It's heading straight for us. Have we been detected? Jack asked. Olivia shook her head. Not possible through this nebula. Not unless they've developed new scanning technology. It's launching something, William reported. A small object. It's a life pod. Jack made a quick decision. Intercept that pod. Diane, security team to the docking bay. Be ready for anything. The Strider moved carefully through the nebula clouds and captured the drifting life pod with its tractor beam. When they brought it aboard, Diane and her team surrounded it with weapons ready. The pod's door opened slowly. Inside was a single Xanthari. Unlike the tall, gray-skinned warriors they usually encountered, this one was smaller with pale blue skin that marked him as part of their scientist caste. Don't shoot, the Xanthari said in broken English. I seek asylum. 20 minutes later, they sat in the Strider's conference room. The Xanthari had been searched and wore restraints on his wrists. He called himself Krex. Why should we trust you? Jack asked. The Xanthari Empire has been killing humans for 70 years. Krex's face showed what might have been shame. Not all Xanthari support the Emperor's war. Some of us have tried to work for peace. And now you're defecting. Why now? Diane asked, her hand resting near her weapon. Because of what the Emperor plans next. Krex leaned forward. The phantom ship that destroyed our vessels. It has thrown our military into panic. The Emperor believes it is a new Earth weapon. It's not, Jack said. I know, Krex replied. But the Emperor is using it as an excuse to deploy the final solution. A planet-killer weapon that will end Earth resistance once and for all. The room fell silent. How do you know this? William asked. I helped to design it, Krex admitted. His shoulders slumped. I believed we were creating a mining tool for dead planets. When I learned the truth, I knew I had to warn someone. Jack studied the alien carefully. And the phantom ship. What do you know about it? Only that it is neither human nor Xanthari. Our scientists believe it might be related to the ancients, a species mentioned in our oldest records, a species that disappeared long before we reached the stars. Jack sent a message to Earth Alliance Command, including everything Krex had told them. The response came faster than expected. New orders from Admiral Miller, Jack announced to his team. We are to continue our mission with a new objective. Make contact with the phantom ship at all costs. She believes this alien defector, Diane asked, nodding toward Krex. The Alliance has been waiting 70 years for a weapon that could challenge the Xanthari, Jack said. If this phantom isn't one of ours, and it's fighting the Empire anyway, then we might have found an ally, Olivia finished. Exactly, Jack said. But first we need to find it again. Krex spoke up hesitantly. I may be able to help with that. The phantom ship appears to respond to certain situations. Specifically, it seems to intervene when Xanthari forces attack human targets. Jack looked at his crew members one by one, an idea forming in his mind. Then we'll need to create exactly that situation, he said. And I know just how to do it. This is a terrible idea, Diane said as she watched Olivia and William modify the Strider's external appearance. Jack stood beside her on the bridge. It's the best one we have. The plan was simple but dangerous. They would disguise the Strider as a human merchant vessel and travel through a known Xanthari patrol route. If Krex was right, the phantom ship would appear when they were attacked. What if the phantom doesn't show up? Paul asked from his station. We'll be sitting ducks. That's why we're making some modifications, Jack explained. Olivia is boosting our shields, and we'll have an escape route planned. Krex had been helping them, providing information about Xanthari patrol patterns and blind spots in their sensor networks. Jack still didn't fully trust the alien scientist, but so far his information had checked out. Disguise complete, Olivia reported as she returned to the bridge. Her hands were covered in grease. From the outside, we look like the trading vessel Northern Star. Our energy signature is masked too. Jack nodded. Good work. Paul set course for the Antares shipping lane. As they traveled, Tension built among the crew. They were deliberately placing themselves in danger, hoping to attract both the Zenthari attack and the intervention of the mysterious phantom ship. 6 hours later, they entered the shipping lane. Jack ordered everyone to battle stations. "Now we wait," he said. They didn't have to wait long. Just 30 minutes into their journey, sensors detected an approaching vessel. "Zenthari cruiser, heavy class," William reported. "They're scanning us." "Hold steady," Jack ordered. "Everyone remember your roles." The Zenthari ship hailed them. On screen appeared the stern face of a Zenthari commander. "Human vessel," the commander said. "You have entered restricted space. Prepare to be boarded." Jack, playing the role of a frightened merchant captain, responded, "This is a civilian trading ship. We have proper permits for this route." "All permits have been revoked by imperial decree," the Zenthari replied coldly. "Surrender your vessel or be destroyed." Jack looked at his crew and made a show of panicking. "Please, we're unarmed. We have civilians aboard." The Zenthari ended the transmission. Moments later, the cruiser fired a warning shot across their bow. "They're powering up main weapons," Williams said. "This isn't just for show anymore. They're really going to attack us." Jack gripped his chair. "Hold position. Don't return fired yet." The cruiser fired again, this time hitting the Strider shields. The ship shook violently. "Shields at 60%, Olivia reported. "One more hit like that, and we're in trouble." They waited as the Zenthari ship moved closer for another attack. Jack watched the sensors for any sign of the Phantom, but there was nothing. "We can't take another direct hit," Olivia warned as the Zenthari cruiser locked weapons on them again. Jack hesitated. Had their plan failed? "Paul, prepare for emergency jump." Just as the Zenthari ship fired, their sensors lit up with an energy spike. Something appeared between the Strider and the incoming weapons fire, absorbing the blast completely. "It's here," William shouted. On the main screen, they could finally see it clearly. The Phantom ship was smaller than they had expected, about half the size of the Strider. Its hull was dark and seemed to shift like smoke, making it hard to focus on. It moved with impossible grace, circling the much larger Zenthari cruiser. The Zenthari ship fired all weapons, but the Phantom simply vanished before each blast could hit, reappearing in a different position. Then it countered with a weapon of its own, a thin beam of blue light that cut through the Zenthari shields as if they weren't there. With surgical precision, the Phantom disabled the cruiser's weapons and engines without destroying the ship. The Zenthari vessel drifted powerless in space. Then, to everyone's surprise, the Phantom ship turned and moved toward the Strider. "It's scanning us," Williams said, eyes wide. "Very detailed scans. It knows we're not really a merchant ship." Jack stood up. "This is our chance. Hail it." But before they could send a message, the Phantom ship did something unexpected. It initiated communication first. The main screen on the Strider flickered, and then showed a sight that made everyone on the bridge stare in amazement. The being that appeared was neither human nor Zenthari. It stood tall and slender with pale skin that seemed to shimmer with a faint blue light. Its face was almost human, with 2 eyes, a nose, and mouth, but the proportions were different. The eyes were larger, completely silver, and had no visible pupils. Its head was hairless with faint markings that looked like star patterns. "We greet you, humans of Earth," the being said in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Terran of the Progenitors." Jack stepped forward. "I am Lieutenant Commander Jack Rogers of the Earth Alliance Defense Fleet. We thank you for your assistance." Terran tilted his head slightly. "Your deception was clever, though unnecessary. We have been observing your conflict with the Zenthari for some time." "You know about us?" Jack asked. "We know of many species across this galaxy," Terran replied. "We have watched from afar as civilizations rise and fall. The progenitors seeded much of this galaxy with life millions of years ago. In a sense, both humans and Zenthari are our children." Olivia whispered, "They're the ancients Krex mentioned." Krex stepped into view of the screen, his eyes wide with wonder. The legends were true. The Lifebringers did exist. Karen's silver eyes seemed to study Krex with interest. The Zenthari still remember us in their myths. This is satisfying to know. If you've been watching all this time, Jack said, trying to keep his voice steady, why have you only now decided to intervene? We have a policy of non-interference, Terran explained. We allow our seeded species to develop naturally, even when that development leads to conflict. However, the Zenthari Emperor's planet-killer weapon threatens more than just your species. Its use would create instabilities in this sector of space that could affect many worlds. So you're here to stop the weapon? Diane asked. We are here to restore balance, Terran corrected. The Zenthari have dominated for too long. Their expansion has become destructive rather than creative. Jack saw an opportunity. Then we have a common goal. Would you consider an alliance with Earth? Terran was silent for a moment. An alliance is possible, but it would come with conditions. We do not simply hand out our technology or fight others' battles. If we help you now, humans must accept a greater responsibility in the future. What kind of responsibility? Jack asked. To become guardians of this sector once the Zenthari threat is contained. To ensure peace among younger species that will emerge. To uphold the balance we seek to restore. The crew exchanged glances. What Terran was suggesting would forever change humanity's place in the galaxy. I'll need to consult with Earth Alliance Command, Jack said. Of course, Terran agreed. We understand the need for proper authority. We will await your response. The screen went dark, but sensors showed the phantom ship. The progenitor vessel remained nearby. Jack immediately sent a secure transmission to Admiral Miller, explaining everything they had learned. To his surprise, she responded within minutes, appearing on screen with several high-ranking Alliance officials beside her. You've done well, Rogers, she said. We've reviewed your data on the progenitor vessel and Ambassador Terran's offer. What are your orders, Admiral? Jack asked. Miller's expression was solemn. The Security Council has voted. We are authorized to accept the progenitor's terms. Their help against the Zenthari planet killer is worth the responsibilities that come after. There's something else you should know, Miller continued. Our deep space probes have detected the Zenthari Emperor's flagship moving toward the weapon testing site. Time is running out. Jack nodded. We'll inform the progenitors of our decision immediately. One more thing, Commander, Miller said. History will remember this moment, when humanity found not just an ally, but perhaps our oldest ancestor among the stars. Make us proud. The transmission ended. Jack took a deep breath and turned to his crew. Let's make contact with Ambassador Terran again, he said. It's time to form an alliance that will change everything. Ambassador Terran's image appeared on the Strider's screen once more. Jack stood tall, aware that he was speaking not just for his crew, but for all of humanity. The Earth Alliance accepts your offer of alliance, Jack said formally. We understand and accept the responsibilities that will come after. Terran nodded, a very human gesture that seemed practiced. Your acceptance is noted. We have watched your species for centuries, Lieutenant Commander Rogers. Despite being outgunned and outnumbered by the Zenthari Empire, humans have shown remarkable resilience. We're stubborn that way, Jack said with a small smile. Indeed, it is one of the qualities that make you suitable for the role we envision. Terran raised his hand, and a stream of data appeared on a secondary screen. We will now transfer technical information to help your immediate survival against the Zenthari forces. Olivia rushed to her station and began reviewing the incoming data. Her eyes widened. This is incredible. Shield modifications, energy management systems, sensor enhancements, all using principles we understand, but applied in ways we never considered. The information is tailored to your current level of technology, Terran explained. We are not giving you weapons you are not ready for, but rather helping you better use what you already have. William looked up from his console. The transfer is complete. We have everything. Olivia, How quickly can we implement these changes? Jack asked. She was already making calculations. The shield modifications can be done in 6 hours. The other systems will take longer, but even just the shields will make a huge difference. You have less time than that, Terran said. Our sensors detect the Zenthuri battle group changing course. They have located us and are moving to intercept. Jack turned to his crew. Olivia, focus on the shields. Paul, prepare an escape route. William, analyze the rest of the data for anything we can use quickly. What about your ship? Jack asked Terran. The Phantom, as we've been calling it. We will remain with you, Terran said. 3 more of our vessels are en route. Together, we will confront the Zenthuri force. 6 hours later, the Strider had been transformed. Olivia had worked non-stop to implement the shield modifications, and the results were impressive. According to their tests, the shields were now 4 times stronger using the same amount of power. Zenthuri ships approaching, Paul announced from navigation. 15 vessels, including the 2 dreadnoughts. And there's more, William added grimly. I'm detecting a much larger ship behind them. Based on Krex's information, it's the Emperor's flagship. On the main view screen, they could see the Zenthuri battle group approaching in attack formation. Behind them loomed a massive vessel nearly twice the size of the dreadnoughts. Progenitor vessels have arrived, Diane reported. 3 ships identical to Terran's appeared on their sensors, moving with the same impossible grace. Terran's voice came over the comm system. We will engage the Zenthuri forces. Your ship should focus on surviving. The Emperor's flagship carries the planet killer weapon. It must not be allowed to reach its target. The 4 Phantom ships moved toward the Zenthuri fleet, seeming to blink in and out of existence as they accelerated. Shields at maximum, Olivia reported. The new modifications are holding stable. All weapons ready, Diane added. Jack took a deep breath. This is what we've been waiting for. For 70 years, humanity has been on the defensive. Today, that changes. The first shots were fired by the Zenthuri dreadnoughts, massive energy beams that should have vaporized anything they touched. But the Phantom ships simply weren't there when the beams arrived, having moved faster than the weapons could track. Then the progenitors countered. Blue beams lanced out, slicing through Zenthuri shields as if they weren't there. They're cutting through the battle group, William said, watching the sensors, creating a path straight to the Emperor's flagship. Jack understood immediately. They're making an opening for us. He turned to Paul. Set course directly for that flagship. Full speed. As the Strider accelerated toward the massive enemy vessel, Jack knew they were about to make history, one way or another. The Strider raced toward the Emperor's flagship while chaos erupted all around them. Zenthuri ships exploded or drifted powerless as the progenitor vessels cut through their formation with surgical precision. Incoming fire, Diane called out. A blast from one of the surviving Zenthuri cruisers hit the Strider directly. The ship shuddered, but held together. Shields at 87%, Olivia reported with a grin. The progenitor modifications work perfectly. Jack nodded. Keep us on course. William, can you get us a layout of that flagship? Already working on it, William replied. Krex is helping me interpret their security systems. The Zenthuri scientist had proven his loyalty during the battle preparations, providing critical information about Empire tactics and vulnerabilities. Now he stood at William's station, pointing out key areas on the flagship's schematics. The Emperor will be here, in the command center, Krex said. And the planet killer control systems are nearby, heavily guarded. We'll need a boarding party, Jack decided. Diane, prepare your security team. Olivia, you're coming too. We'll need your technical expertise to disable that weapon. As they approached the massive flagship, one of the progenitor vessels moved alongside them. Terran's voice came through the comm system. We will create an entry point for you. Once inside, you must move quickly. Our sensors indicate the weapon is nearly ready for deployment. The Phantom ship accelerated ahead of them, firing a precise beam that cut a perfect circle in the flagship's hull. Alarm signals blared across the Xanthari communications channels as their shields failed in that section. Docking procedure initiated, Paul announced, guiding the Strider toward the opening. Minutes later, Jack led the boarding party through the breach and into the Xanthari flagship. Diane and her security team moved ahead, encountering surprisingly little resistance. "They're focused on the progenitor ships," Diane said. "Most of their troops are at battle stations." Following Krex's directions, they made their way toward the command center. The few Xanthari soldiers they encountered were quickly neutralized by Diane's team. "The Planet Killer control room is through here," Krex said, pointing to a heavily reinforced door. Olivia studied the locking mechanism. "I can bypass this with the new knowledge from the progenitors." As she worked, Jack received a communication from the Strider. "Sir," Paul's voice came through. "The Xanthari fleet is in full retreat. Most of their ships have been disabled." "Good," Jack replied. "Stand by for extraction once we've completed our mission." The door slid open, revealing a large chamber filled with complex equipment. In the center stood a crystalline structure that pulsed with ominous energy. "That's it," Krex whispered. "The Planet Killer core." Olivia moved to the control console. "I need 10 minutes to shut it down safely." "You have 5, Jack said. "Diane, guard this room. I'm going after the Emperor." With 2 security officers, Jack continued to the command center. The doors were already open, the guards missing from their posts. Inside, they found chaos. Officers ran between stations as alarms blared. At the center of it all stood a tall Xanthari in ornate armor, the Emperor himself. He turned as Jack entered, his yellow eyes narrowing. "So the humans have come to meet their end in person." "It's over," Jack said firmly. "Your fleet is defeated. Your weapon will be disabled." The Emperor laughed, a harsh sound. "You think this is the end? The Empire spans hundreds of systems. This is merely a setback." "No," came a new voice. Terran stepped into the room, seemingly appearing from nowhere. "This is indeed the end of your empire as you know it." The Emperor's face showed real fear for the first time. "The ancients, the legends were true. The balance must be restored," Terran said simply. "Your reign of conquest is over." Hours later, Jack stood on the observation deck of the Strider, watching as Xanthari representatives signed formal surrender documents. The once mighty empire had collapsed with its emperor's capture. Admiral Miller's face appeared on the nearby screen. "Congratulations, Commander Rogers. The war that has defined humanity for 70 years is finally over." "What happens now?" Jack asked. "Now we fulfill our promise to the progenitors," she replied. "We become guardians rather than victims." Outside the viewports, the last Phantom ship prepared to depart. The progenitors were withdrawing as promised, leaving humanity to its new role. Jack watched the sleek vessel disappear among the stars, its mission complete. The ship that moved like a phantom had changed everything, and humanity's real work was just beginning.